welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie. Happy booktube anniversary for me, and this is the weekly wrap up for July the 1st through the 7th. As I said, today is my booktube anniversary. I started booktube 3 years ago today, and I am super happy with this community. I had some stumbles, I've had some downfalls, but overall I really love this community and the people that I have connected with. All like 1,100-ish or so people that you guys are watching my videos. I greatly appreciate it. I love that you guys comment with me and talk and we discuss, and it is just so great. So if you're out there and you're thinking about starting a channel, do it, because this community is great, especially when you start connecting with people of like being. And even if you don't like the same books as the person that is starting the channel or is watching your channel, if you can gain anything from their excitement about the books that they're reading, or even think about picking up books that they're suggesting, that is a plus. Yes. So this week was a very busy week. We had the 4th of July, and yesterday I went to SAS, which I will be doing a video for, because I got all kinds of great goodies and met some of my favorite authors for the first time and for multiple other times. But you guys will hear all about that when I get to that video, probably later on this week. Last week I read a whopping 6 books. Yes, I rocked it out, because I actually read 2 ebooks, and then the rest were audiobooks. So that's awesome. So let's get to what I did read, how I felt about it, and all that good stuff. The first book I read was The Host by Stephenie Meyer, and this is a young adult sci-fi book. I read it for my romance roundabout, and I gave it 3 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and I think that the movie adaptation did a much better job at pulling out the information that needed to be given to the audience versus just a information dump of information, and I guess you could say world building, because I didn't really need all that. The book really dragged on, and just lots of unnecessary information for me. I appreciate the movie much more, and will continue to watch the movie whenever I get a chance to. Really enjoyed that movie. The next book I read was The Downside of Love, Blue Line Duet number 2 by Meghan Quinn, and I place this in contemporary. I only give this book 4 stars. I read it as an arc, so I won't go into exactly what goes on in this book, because it is the second book in the Blue Line Duet, and to prevent giving spoilers, I'm not going to really talk about it. However, I am going to tell you what the actual characters and what's going on in it. I will tell you that I was a bit disappointed with this book, and felt kind of, jabbed in the side, and wasn't expecting the vision that Meghan ended up taking with this one, and that really kind of threw me off. Things happened that I didn't want to happen, and the only reason it's getting 4 stars is because I love Meghan so much. I love her writing, and I respect her vision that she tried to take with it. Not that I think it's the right one, but I respect her vision. The next book I read was Fledgling by Octavia Butler, and this is a sci-fi. I read it for Romance Roundabout, and I give this book 1 star. It's an audiobook. This also happens to be a Black author for Blackout 2018. And yeah, so I don't know if it was that I missed the quasi message that was supposed to be going along with it, but this is about a vampire tribe or vampire race of people, and the young girl in it is named Shori. She wakes up with sort of amnesia, not knowing who she is, what's going on with her. All she knows is that she was badly burnt, she was badly hurt and injured, and yeah, then she meets up with this man, and he lets her in on the notion that she looks like a 12-year-old, which is problem number one. One, right there. And he's a full-grown man. And then, come to find out, this vampire race is very sexualized, and they need sex to continue on, to feed their habits, and it just, oh. I love my dark and twisted books, but this just made me cringe all the way through, because they continued to remind you that Shori, the main female character, looks like she's 12 years old. Looks like she's underage. And I was just like, why? Why? If she's a 53-year-old vampire, granted she's a young vampire, can we just stick with that? Can we just go with that? Yeah. We don't have to talk about the fact that she looks like she's underage. So, that's that. Oh, yeah. The next book I read was Come Away With Me in Seattle #1 by Proby. And this book was a contemporary. I give it 4 stars. I listened to it on audiobook. And this book follows Natalie, who is taking pictures of the water, of the scenery, and everything like that in Seattle one day when she meets Luke, because Luke thinks she's taking his picture for other reasons. And they both have very complicated pasts, and it's a little bit over the top, which is why I only give it 4 stars. But it was sweet, it was swoony, it was sexy, and I really, really enjoyed the start to this series of standalone books. And I've had this book along with the series for quite some time, because they have been out for a little bit. And I'm just really glad that I'm finally getting into them, because I'm gonna really enjoy the next book, which is, I believe, Play with Fire. And it deals with Natalie's best friend and her boss. The next book I finished was The Kiss Quotient. The Kiss Quotient #1 by Helen Hoang. And I placed this in a rom-com. I give it 4.5 to 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook pretty much in one day, 2 different sittings. And this book follows Stella, who has some very unique attributes to her character. She flat out tells you right in the beginning that she has Asperger's, which is a form of autism, and you go into this knowing that she has autism, but that is a very beautifully, she sort of obsesses about it throughout the book, but it adds to her character as being this sweet woman that is very independent, and she's high functioning, so she has a great job, and just, I loved it. I loved it, I loved it, I loved it. She is of Asian descent, and so her mother is trying to get her married off and get her started with a family and all that great stuff that is sort of stereotypical, but has been proven, I guess. I'm not Asian, so I wouldn't know about Asian families that, want to get their kids married and have families and things like that. So I can't talk on that from own perspective, but the way Helen did it was a very sweet and swoony and sexy. And she gets told by her partners that she's bad in the sex area. So what does she do? She uses her analytical and mathematical mind, scientific mind, and she goes and finds an escort to help her. And Michael is the escort, and he has his own dark path and dark journey. I wouldn't even say dark. He just has a past that he feels is a little, unsavory. He is Taiwanese, I believe, and Swedish, so he is a mixed-raced man. And I really enjoyed the fact that they threw that part of his culture into the story as well, and how they mesh together. I just really enjoyed it. I found myself laughing and tearing up. I couldn't get a full-blown cry out because I was driving while I was listening to this book, but I really enjoyed this book, and I'm glad that I listened to it on audiobook, and I probably will re-listen to it again. Then the final book that I finished reading last week was Blood Match, Blood Type Number 2 by K.A. Linde, and this is a paranormal romance book, and it is the second book in the series, so you do have to read Blood Type before you read this one, or else you'll be lost in the sauce. I give this book 4 to 4.5 stars. I read it as an arc, and this is the continuation of Beck and Rihanna's story, and if you remember my review from Blood Type, you will realize that I wasn't really feeling the chemistry between Beckham and Raina. In this one, wowza! Oh my goodness! And just all of the drama and craziness, I really enjoyed this book. It's definitely getting its little hooks into me, and I have very, very high hopes for the Blood Cure, which is book number 3 in the series that comes out later this year. Can't wait to get my hands on that one as well and see how everything concludes and comes together, because I got to know. Need to know. So those are the books that I read last week. Have you read any of those books? Do any of those books sound interesting to you? Let me know down in the comments. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, there is a feedback form down in the description box so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.